All right, welcome back. So we've already covered a lot of ground. We've mapped our entire route with Domain 1, and we've even started the drive with Domain 2. But what happens when the car itself isn't ready for the trip? Today, we are taking a deep dive into Domain 3 of the TESS system, and this one is all about the learning environment.
So think about it. You've done all that meticulous planning. That was Domain 1. Then you actually got behind the wheel and started teaching, navigating the live traffic of a classroom. That's Domain 2 instruction. You've got the map, the engine is humming. Things should be great, right?
Well, here's the reality check. You can have the best GPS in the world and the most powerful engine under the hood, but the whole journey just grinds to a halt if the vehicle itself, the classroom, is cluttered, unsafe, or just plain chaotic. If your passengers don't feel secure, you're not going anywhere. And that is exactly where Domain 3 comes in. The best way to think about it is as the interior comfort and safety of your car. It's all about the atmosphere you create inside that makes your students feel respected, feel safe, and feel totally ready for the journey of learning. So, here's our plan for this explainer. First, we're going to peek inside the vehicle for an overview of Domain 3. Then, we'll check its efficiency. That's your routines. We'll go over the rules of the road, which is all about behavior, and then feel the atmosphere with classroom culture. After that, we are going to uncover the big philosophical shift in the TESS system before we finally arrive at our destination, your calm, clear cabin. So, let's get right to it. Let's pop the door open and take a look inside.
You know, it's such a simple idea, but it's incredibly powerful. If your instruction is the act of driving, then your classroom environment is the actual vehicle carrying everyone forward. And if that interior is messy or unpredictable, nobody, and I mean nobody, can focus on where you're trying to go.
Okay, so the very first thing we need to check is the vehicle's efficiency. In the TESS system, this is Dimension 3.1, and it's all about your classroom routines and procedures. The whole goal here is to create a space that just runs smoothly. You know, are materials easy for kids to find? Are your transitions from one activity to the next quick and seamless? Is the room physically safe and accessible for every single student? That's what this is about.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. If you look at the actual TESS rubric for 3.1, a proficient classroom is one where the teacher has everything dialed in. The car is clean, it's organized, the rubric says all procedures, routines, and transitions are clear and efficient. The teacher is totally in control, making sure it all runs like a well-oiled machine.
But, and this is so important, as we start to move from proficient over to distinguished, you've got to notice how the responsibility shifts. It goes from being entirely teacher-managed to student-led. In a distinguished classroom, the students take the lead. They're the ones managing their own groups and getting their own supplies because they know the system. The driver doesn't have to tell them every single move.
All right, next up, the rules of the road. A smooth ride isn't just about an organized car, it's about everyone agreeing on how to behave during the trip. This brings us to Dimension 3.2, Managing Student Behavior. This one is all about having a really solid behavior system. Think of yourself as the one who not only sets the speed limit, but also enforces it. The expectations have to be crystal clear, you have to communicate them well, and you've got to maintain them consistently if you want a safe trip.
So if we look at the rubric for 3.2, a proficient teacher consistently implements the campus and/or classroom behavior system. It's pretty straightforward. You have a system and you use it effectively. You are the enforcer, and you're making sure it's a safe and predictable journey for everybody on board.
And here we go again. You can see that shift. Because in a distinguished classroom, something really magical happens. It's not just the teacher's system anymore. The teacher and the students actually create and maintain those standards together. The passengers become just as invested in the safety of the trip as the driver is. They're not just following rules anymore. They're upholding their own shared standards.
Okay, let's move on to our final milestone, and you'll see how this all builds. We've got an efficient vehicle, we've got clear rules. Now we need to talk about the feeling, the rapport and atmosphere inside the car. This is Dimension 3.3, Classroom Culture. And honestly, it's the heart of the entire journey.
This is all about mutual respect. It's about creating that positive rapport where every single student feels like they belong, like their voice matters, and like they are a valued member of this little travel community you've built.
And when we look at the TT's rubric, proficient teachers are great at this. They engage all their students in relevant learning. They're kind, they're fair, and they build a respectful environment where students feel comfortable working, whether it's by themselves or in groups.
But to hit that distinguished level, a teacher takes it one giant step further. The focus moves from a teacher being respectful to the students to creating a truly collaborative culture among them.
Distinguished teachers learn about their students' individual interests and unique abilities, and they use that knowledge to build a deep, positive rapport among the students themselves. Every single passenger feels like they truly belong in that car.
Okay, we've just walked through the 3 dimensions of the learning environment. Now let's zoom out for the big picture, because there is an underlying philosophy in the TESS system that connects absolutely everything we just talked about.
I want you to look really closely at the bottom of these rubric pages. See that arrow pointing to the left? That little arrow is everything. Just like we saw back in Domain 2, the TESS system is designed to move you from the right side of the page to the left. Everything on the right is teacher-centered. But as you move left, the focus shifts to become student-centered.
So here's the bottom line. Whether we're talking about routines, behavior, or culture, the goal is always to shift from teacher direction to student responsibility. The entire purpose of the TESS system is to empower students to take real ownership of their space, their behavior, and their learning community. And that brings us to our destination for today. All of this hard work in Domain 3, it's all about one thing: creating a calm, clear cabin where real, meaningful learning can actually happen. And before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a really important thought. A proficient rating in Domain 3 is not some stepping stone or a consolation prize. It is a major win. It means you have successfully created a rock-solid, safe, and organized space where learning can absolutely thrive. That is a huge accomplishment. So as you get ready for your own journey, keep thinking about that shift. It's not just about managing a classroom, it's about building a community. The real question isn't just, how am I going to drive this thing, but how will I empower my students to take the wheel? Keep that cabin calm and the focus clear. You are definitely on the right road.